Welcome to Toffee TV's Opposition Preview. We are joined by Adi Packham from the Albion Roar podcast, looking very cool down on the beach on the south coast. I mean, that's you're living the lifestyle there that we all would expect from someone from Brighton.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet down here on the beach. The tide's just coming back in. I think it's all just going out, one of those two. So I'll take the boat out, the kayak out in a bit, and like have a bit of a paddle, maybe a bit of the fish. It's a good way to live for sure.
Absolutely, beer in hand and everything. Life is pretty good at the moment for a Brighton fan, isn't it? 3 wins out of 3, 2 in the Premier League. You're keeping your best player, you're keeping all your manager. It's all good, isn't it?
It appears to be from the outside. Yes, it does, absolutely. And we're still going by the old adage: don't look at the league table until you've played 10 games. But we're only goal difference from being top of the league, so that's pretty sweet right now. Keeping Basuma, who is by far our best player by a country mile, is amazing. The loss of Ben White was kind of expected because there was a lot of noise about him last summer and we managed to hang on to him then. But he had a decent first season. He's not the finished article by a long shot. I mean, Arsenal have paid a lot of money for potential, but they do that a lot and then they never realise their potential. But I mean, there is hope that Ben will go on and actually achieve what he's capable of. But he needs someone like Lewis Dunk alongside him to make him better. Someone who will actually alongside him will actually let him play football. But Eves is great. He was getting a lot of plaudits after the game at the weekend. We're like, shut up, don't talk about him. Can you Eves just have a quiet game for a couple of weeks, so at least until the 1st of September. But we're absolutely delighted to have him still here. I know that a lot of clubs have been looking at him. I think that possibly the fact that there's the Cup of Nations in January might have put a few people off. But he's been called up to go and play for Mali a lot, but he's never actually gone. So there is question marks over what would happen there. But it's we're just absolutely delighted to have him, and he's such a Rolls Royce of a footballer. He just runs the game. And he's just getting better and better and better. I mean, after he played about 6 or 7 games when he first signed to us, I did actually incorrectly say that if the answer is Yves Basuma, we were asking the wrong question. But I was so wrong about him, and he's just got better and better and better. And I mean, he would quite easily slot into any of the top sides and any of the top leagues across Europe, because he is that good and he is only getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just talk about your manager for a moment, Graham Potter. There was a lot of talk about him in the summer. I mean, Everton were linked with him, but I think more so with Spurs. Did you have any worries in the summer you would lose him? Because obviously he's what he's done with the job at Brighton is outstanding, really. And what are his main characteristics? What makes him such a good manager and such a good coach?
Well, I mean, it's not what we think; it's what the players think at the end of the day. And when you hear someone like Glenn Murray, who is an absolute legend here at the Albion, and when he comes out and say that Graham Potter's possibly the best manager he's ever played under, bearing in mind he never really played under him, but it's just his attention to detail, his man management skills. I mean, he took the circuitous route to management. He went to university. He got degrees in emotional management and things like that, and he went out to a 4th division side in Sweden, and he got them all the way up to the top flight and beating Arsenal in the Europa League. So people first started noticing him then, and then obviously Swansea took the gamble with him, and we were keen to have that style of manager, because at Brighton we're a very forward-thinking club. We're always thinking one step ahead. Our chairman is exceptional. He's first and foremost, apart from being a multi-billionaire, he's a Brighton fan, and he always has been. There's pictures of him at the ground in when he was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. There's been a member of his family on the board forever. So that's an important step, and the way he sees it, the team he's put around him, the fact we've got the best CEO in the country in Paul Barber, we've got Dan Ashworth, who's responsible for the rise in England's fortunes over the last few years. If you look at what England have done, Euro semi-final, Euro final, World Cup semi-final. Dan Ashworth is very much part of that journey with the stuff that he's put in place. So the fact that he's come to Brighton, he can see that the way that everyone's treated, and the fact that Graham is such, we'll see 5, 6, 7 different formations throughout a game sometimes. He'll see it, and nobody's ever really humped us. We're always in games, even when we've lost. It's usually by a single goal. I mean, last season, everyone knows that we were the XG champions of the world, and we, if it was down to XG,
Champions
we
League,
could have been contenders, kid. But hopefully, that one thing we say, the games we've won so far, the games against Watford, the games against Burnley, those are games which we would have drawn or lost, or certainly dropped points last season. So the fact that we've won those two, we played 2 games. No one's saying anything about. The fact that we're in the Champions League places, long may that continue. We're going to do a Leicester.
You never know.
We've got to be. We're realistic, and we know that tougher challenges are to come, and that starts on Saturday when you lot come to visit us.
Obviously there was a lot of talk about, a little bit of talk about Graham Potter joining Everton, but one of the reasons you just mentioned there why I didn't really fancy him as manager is because I think he'd be leaving a better setup at Brighton than he would be coming into. I think that was one of my worries. I think he's got absolutely brilliant at Brighton. He's got everything going his way, and I thought if he comes to Everton, if that did happen, he'd be walking into a little bit of a mess that I don't think he would deserve to handle at this stage of his career. I think he's a really good up and coming coach who, like, one day, whether it be with Brighton or whether it be someone else, is going to do big things. But one of the things you just mentioned it there, the XG situation last year, you controlled so many games. You were brilliant. Even when you came to Goodison and we beat you 4-2 early on the season, you were fantastic. But you just couldn't score the goals. All season, you just had problems scoring goals. Do you think that's sorted this season, or is that, are you still trying to bring some?
No, it's certainly. We created a lot of chances, and we didn't take them. I mean, I think the scoreline slightly flattered you, but it's very rare that we concede that a number of goals. So, I think that was the only time we actually did concede 4 last season. But it was the fact that I don't think it is sorted out. I mean, we know that we've needed to be more clinical. We know that, and there's been an awful lot of talk in the media about us being after this striker, that striker, and with the fact that we've just been paid 50 million quid for a player, everyone's going, where's our striker? Why aren't we spending this money? When the Brighton way has always been, we'll buy the right player at the right time. And if the right player isn't available, we're not going to spend the money. We've been burnt with some bad signings in the past. Jurgen Locardi, who's still with the club. We've just sold Ali Reza Jahanbash, who's a player which we loved, but we just never found his natural position. We never found where he was most natural. So it was a shame that it didn't quite work out for him. But these are players that we paid a lot of money for, and it didn't work out. So we're not going to just spend we haven't got an open checkbook policy. But if the right player comes available, we'll do it. But it's more a case of if you read it in the papers, it's the agents trying to talk up their player. It's not. Of course. We don't do it, and we do none of our business in public. We won't comment on any of the speculation. But the fans are getting restless because we know what the problem was last year. And yes, we've taken our chances in these first 2 games, and we have improved so far in last year. There has been a little bit of investment, but Graham said in one of the pre-season press conferences that, look, if we can't get the right player, then I'm confident that I can make the players we've got better. And that's been the way that he's managed throughout his career. There's a clear pathway for the kids to come through from the academy. I mean, the game last night at Cardiff, with a very strong Cardiff side, pretty much their first team, which has gone unbeaten so far in the Championship this year. We put a team of kids out there, and we won comfortably. I mean, and it could have been by more in the end. And that's a clear indication that the part of that the academy's working. And Graham has got a policy that if you're good enough, you're old enough, and the pathway is clear to anybody in that setup that. If you're good enough, you will play. You're not just here to make up the numbers. You will get your opportunity in the first team, and that's a massive thing. And that's particularly in COVID times where people. I mean, obviously, every football club lost a lot of money throughout the last 18 months, and there's that 50 million quid that we got for Ben White that goes some way to fill in that black hole. But yeah, there is a budget in place, but it'll only be for the right player.
Do you think there's a confidence this year amongst the players, the manager and the fans that you're not looking behind you and you are now starting to look up and trying to reach, not just mid-table, but into that group of clubs, which I think we're Everton are at the moment, that probably could achieve Europe, but also could maybe finish, top 10. Is that where you're looking now?
The ambition from the board is to be regularly competing in the top 10 club, but we're Brighton fans. We know where we're at. We know where we're at. You don't support Brighton for the glory. Success would be a cup run, getting to Wembley. I believe it's your every football club they're there to win, to be as successful as they possibly can, and to win as many things as you possibly can. So the fact that people don't take the things like the League Cup seriously or the FA Cup seriously, it disappoints me a little bit. We've been guilty of it in the past as well, but and the team we put out last night is to give people the experience and give them the opportunity. But basically, Graham wouldn't have put them in the team if they weren't good enough. So but I mean, any sort of success in the cup competition, to finish as high up the table as we possibly can, that is what we've got to be trying to do. I mean, we don't want to be in that situation where we're nervously looking over our shoulders again. And we want to be looking up, like you said, looking up rather than down, because this is a record 5th year in the top flight for us. I mean, when we were hit last year from 80, when we got relegated in 83, that was only a 4-year stay. So this is a record for the club. This is our longest sustained period at the top table. So we're absolutely thrilled by that. We're confident we can be more successful this year. We're confident we're going to score more goals, and there's a lot of players in our squad that are just getting better, which is probably why Graham was saying that we are going to spend some money if the right player comes available, but we've got players that are just getting better and better and better, and that is a warning sign to the rest of the league, hopefully.
Definitely. What are your thoughts on Everton so far this season, or what you've seen from Everton? For us, it's been a bit of a circus, but how does it look from the outside?
Well, it's been interesting. I had a good chat with an Everton fan. My missus comes from Chester, and we were coming back down there. There was a guy, the train came through Liverpool, and he was heading down to London, and I had a really good chat with him. He was very, very down on yourselves. He thought that there's no money there. He thought that he was disappointed in the appointment that you made. But I mean, from the outside looking in, we know that Rafa is a decent. He's a decent manager. He's got a decent record. I know that Everton fans won't like that. The fact that he's got the history of Liverpool. If you take the red side of him out of it and look at his record, then he's generally been pretty successful. So I think that. I mean, you've got some amazing players that we love to have. I mean, James Rodriguez is one of my favourite players of all time. I think he's outstanding. But getting the most out of him, he was basically a Ancelotti signing, and he'd been with Ancelotti throughout his career quite a lot. So I think whether is he going to be comfortable? I don't with Rafa. I suspect he probably will. They speak the same language, and they speak the language of football. So I suspect that's not going to be an issue. Calvert-Lewin's only going to get better. He's always going to be a threat. Richarlison probably needs to have a little bit of a lie down, but preferably on Saturday because he always does well against us. But we just think that we know that you're going to be dangerous. We know you're not going to be bothering the bottom half of the table too much. But there's always going to be room for improvement. But I mean, I think that it's going to be a tough game on Saturday. We just don't know which Everton's going to turn up, really.
Neither do we. That's always the problem with Everton. We've yet to win at the Amex Stadium as well. 2 defeats and a couple of draws as well. Obviously, there was a very boring 0-0 draw last year. So I really can't call it. I really can't. I'm hoping for a positive result to take us into that international weekend, so we can have a couple of weeks where at least we're all happy in a way. But I'm also very wary of Brighton because I think you've had a great start and you've done us a couple of times, as I said, down there. So it's going to be a very interesting game. I'm taking nothing for granted because I know you're a good side. So we'll see what happens. So it's been absolutely brilliant to have you on the show, AD, and enjoy the rest of your evening in the sun on the beach with the kids.
Yeah. Well, Molly's just here now, so she's waiting. Say hello, Molly.
Hello.
And and the dog's over there somewhere.
Oh, so, brilliant! That's the life. That is the life. That's great.
It's all right.
Absolutely brilliant to have you on the show, and hopefully we'll catch up with you later on in the season when you may not be on the beach the next time we speak to you. Thanks for speaking to us.
Well, yeah, I might be. It might be. It might be raining, but I might be still here.
Nice one.
I just wear a sou'wester or something and a hat.
Nice one. Thanks for speaking
to us. And not have the sun in my eyes. Pleasure.
See you later.
All right. Cheers, boys. Thanks.
Bye now. Bye.